All right, so I finally decided to get back into what's happened in vibe coding the past year, year and a half. And this is still a fairly rudimentary example compared to what some other folks are doing. But about a year, year and a half ago, I built, or I should say ChatGPT built, a CLI. It was a Golang based app that would allow you to text from the command line. So basically, it would allow you to either pass the Twilio API, or you could have it as an environment variable, and then it will allow you to text someone from the command line. So the idea would be that that could be used for automation and whatnot. It took me the better part of probably 5 or 6 hours to get something that actually worked with ChatGPT. So it was pretty clunky at the time. Obviously, I heard about Claude Code. I know a lot of people are using it. I know it's being used in a lot of different organizations where they're actually going through and using Claude to expedite, I suppose is the best way to put it, features, and to make a 1x developer, a 100x developer, a 100x developer, a 1000x developer, what have you, or to create a lot of slop very quickly. So there's, I guess, kind of depends on how you go about it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through what I've built so far. It's an application called Visiban. It's an itch I wanted to scratch for a while. If you're not familiar with Kanban boards, it's a very simple way to visualize workflow, to visualize a project or a set of projects. A lot of the Kanban boards that are out there are very rudimentary, where they'll basically just have like a backlog or a collection of items to think about and maybe consider, to then considering those applications and basically looking to schedule them, to actually doing those, and then to say that once they're done, pop them over. That's a very simple Kanban kind of workflow. So there's different columns, there's cards that are in those columns. Then you get into things like work in progress, how many of those cards can be in one category at a time or by person. So you basically have to close off what the work in progress is before you pull another card over. I think it's probably gonna be better to show this as opposed to explain it, because I'm trying to kind of like visualize this, and hopefully you're visualizing it, but you probably aren't. So let me go ahead and flip on over and show you exactly what I've built so far and what I'm working on, and then also just kind of show what Claude can do as far as working with GitLab as the repo itself. All right, so let me go and transition on over to that. So the first thing I did is I actually created a spec of what I wanted to build. I actually cheated. I said, hey, Claude, go and create the spec. And then I fed the spec back into Claude Code. And that built out the initial framing for this. I'm on the Claude Pro, which is $20 a month, just to give you an idea. I'm not using anything that's really crazy. If I were to get into some much deeper project, which I will plan on doing in the near future, I'll probably have to up that subscription because I'll run out of tokens very quickly. And I did find that even last night when I was putting this together initially, or I should say Claude Code was putting this together initially, and I was instructing it what to do, I did run out of credits for my session, which totally makes sense. I mean, $20 a month, yeah. What do you expect, right? All right. So first and foremost, I wanted to have a single sign-on. Yeah, I didn't want to have to deal with like users and passwords and all that. So I wanted to use GitLab, and I worked at GitLab previously. Obviously, I work in GitHub as well. I work with GitHub, I should say. And then I wanted to also have Google authentication as well. So part of the spec was make sure it has this. I probably could pull up that spec if I went back through there, and I'll do that if you want to see it. But anyway. The only one that I've enabled so far is GitLab, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And what it's going to do is it's going to actually kick over to GitLab. So right now I'm being redirected to GitLab. And what you didn't see is that GitLab said, yep, you're authenticated. I could go over to GitLab and log myself out, and you can see the whole routine where I have to put it, I click on, log in with my Google credentials, and then because I use Google. I have a Google Domains, or G Suite, I guess they call it nowadays, or I don't know. I think it's probably changed names since then even. But and the one-time password and all that. So I just expedited that by not showing it. So anyway, just know that whole process does work. All right, and there's a number of boards that have been created so far. So actually, let me go to one that I have some information in. So what I wanted to do is not just have a simple Kanban board where, again, there's a backlog and I can pull it over to do, i.e. to schedule, and then move it over into doing, and then once it's done, it goes over into done, right? So I can actually I can pull these cards across, just some different features that have been built so far, as an example. I have the ability to add weights, and I can actually also put weight restrictions on each of the columns. The priority was one that, Claude said, hey, we should just go ahead and just add this. Cool. I can set a due date on this as well, right? So then it adds a due date on it. I can add labels to it. I can add descriptions, comments, etc. And you also see that even in history, it went from a backlog to do just now. I've used Smartsheets and some other utilities. Trello is very rudimentary. Smartsheets is very clunky. It doesn't even show you status of when it moves from one column to another. It just kind of blows my mind that the developers just did not put that into Smartsheet. It just, it seems like it's table stakes. So the same thing, you can see that it's like this one, like for example, if I move this test back over to backlog, you'll see that the history's been updated. Now it's backwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have a feature to change that, and that's what we're going to walk through today. But just kind of give you an idea of what this looks like, or what it can do is, like if I wanted to create a new board and just say, let's call this YouTube. If I can type, and I'm going to add columns. So again, I would have backlog, and maybe I just go ahead and automatically add. Maybe a feature is to automatically add a backlog, right? So there's one for that. I can also just change that color, make that blue because that looks better to me at least. Backlog, and we'll just call this to schedule, or we'll say I'll say to do still. Doing, right? And done. All right, and once I can type there we go. And actually, I'm gonna make that green because again, I want to make these nice. On doing, as an example, I can say that there could be no more than 5 cards and a weight limit of 10. So what that means is that if I go over the 5 right now, I don't have a hard constraint to say that you can't move it, but I could add that functionality just by asking Claude to do it, right? And then as far as swim lanes go, I'm just going to say, and maybe just kind of maybe back up for a second. The reason that the reason that multiple swim lanes make a lot of sense to me is back when I worked for Chef, back in 2014, we had I think it was PlanView. I think it was. I can't remember the name of the company. I don't know if they're still around or not. But I was a sales guy, and I worked with an inside sales rep, and that inside sales rep and I need to be in lockstep about what we were doing, because we ended up sharing accounts. He was focused on mid-market and commercial. I was focused on enterprise. And the idea was that he was going to travel from Seattle out to the East Coast to visit customers. So we made a deal to say, hey, I'm going to be out in the field. I'm going to be in Boston. I'm based in New Jersey. So I'm going to be out in Boston. I'll meet up with your customers face to face. If you can call into my customers as well, I can be out there meeting up with customers. So we kind of tag teamed the pod, or as we called it back then. Pods are very common now from a sales methodology, or not sales methodology, but from a sales structuring point, or a sales organization structure. You'll have a pod. They'll have like multiple account executives and sales engineers that focus in on a set of customers, and that rolls up, and that's how you scale sales organizations. We were doing that back in 2014 at Chef, and one of the things that we did with I think it was PlanView, was that we would have a swim lane per customer. So we would actually have all the things we need to do that for that customer. Like it could be respond to the RFP, or the request for proposal, or it could be set up a meeting to discuss the feasibility of this or that or whatever. And we would have the different cards in there, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like. So we'll just say this is like whatever. We'll call it Bob, and then let's kind of create another swim lane called Ed. And let's just do that. Let's just say respond to RFP, right? And it adds a card. And when we look at that card, it was great. Actually, I need to put an issue in on this to say, hey, once it's created, update the history as well. So there'll be a whole history backlog on things, because that's very important to understand. It's like, you haven't done anything on this for the past 2 weeks. What's up? Go do something, right? So you can even put rules in about if the card is inactive for more than 2 weeks and it's not a backlog, flag it, make it a higher priority item or whatever. So there's all kinds of rules that get put into place here that are customized to what my needs are, as opposed to whatever Smartsheet or PlanView. Again, I could probably be bastardizing PlanView's name, and if I am, I apologize. It would allow me to customize it exactly the way I want, and not just what the SaaS offers, which is really a lot of, it's really valuable to me at least. All right, so in this one, this is going to be, we know this is going to be pretty meaty, so we're going to make it 3, and we're going to, you know what, we're just going to say that it's that right now, because we don't know, right? So let me go and close that. And then, you know what, we do know that we're going to have, so we would have a list of all different backlog items. So there could be lots of items in the backlog. It could get pretty messy. So maybe we want to collapse that and just show how many cards are in there, right? And what we're going to do actually is I'm going to actually go through and show you how Claude Code will change this. Because right now, when I collapse it, it just has a blue dot. I don't know what that means. That could be anything, right? So I did put a GitLab issue in to make this collapsible, but then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to make it to where you could actually see what it says. So let me go ahead and maximize those again. All right, so I would put this in to do at this point. I would say, okay, now we need to figure out when, now we're gonna actually schedule it, right? So at this point, we're gonna say we're gonna schedule this out for the 20th, and I'm gonna assign it to myself because there's nobody else, and I'm gonna put this in as a RFP, as a label. And at that point, I probably should also put a close button down here, because I can exit there, but you know, again, more UX or UI, actually UI bits there. All right, at this point, you can see, again, I'm going to move it over to doing at this point, because now actually I've scheduled it, right? So I've scheduled it, and you can see there's 1 of 5 cards, and there's 3 of 10 as far as the weight. So either of those constraints, or other those constraints, again, they're not policed or recognized just yet. But again, as I evolve the application, I will ensure that's done. Okay, so you've seen the Kanban board. You can see there's multiple swim lanes. So you can have, like, again, from my view, it would be customer 1, customer 2. From a program management perspective, it might be project 1, project 2, right? Initiative 1, initiative 2, whatever. I mean, you could have multiple swim lanes that would have like the different bits to do, and then there would be different tasks associated that need to be scheduled out for those different projects. All right, so let me go and show you, by the way, so far we've used 25%, or I've used 25% of the Claude session tokens. This resets over a span of 4 hours, basically, so I've already burned through a few there. Again, I'm on the $20 a month plan right now. I'm gonna have to up it, and I know that, but for my sake, this has been fine and dandy. All right, so let me just go ahead and flip over, and I'll just show you what it looks like within GitLab. So I have been I connected in with GitLab. So GitLab is the code repository for this whole project. And it is a public project, so you can view it. I know it's a bit small on there, but it's Kelly Hare Visiban. So register the domain name just in case. I've got that all kind of set up. Claude has done everything here, so including the README itself, and then also all of the different bits. So I've even used Claude Code to create issues, to create merge requests. The merge requests are basically when you have an issue that you want to close off, you create a feature branch, and you make the modifications there and then merge it back into main. I've not set up continuous integration, continuous delivery, or anything like that, or I should say there's no continuous delivery at this point because this is still in dev mode. But I've not created continuous integration to automatically test it. But you can see there's 7 merge requests that have gone through so far, and you can see that this is over the span of, well, last night and today so far. All right, so let me go and show you the open issues that I have right now. I've got a few. I've closed off a couple already this morning with Claude, and there's some things I want to do. So, like for example, I want to allow users to add labels to a card. And when I say labels, I didn't quite get this right, so I'm going to have to kind of tweak the issue itself. But email integration, create a Helm chart so I can deploy this into Kubernetes and all that. It means it's a Django app with Postgres as a backend. And actually, let me just flip back over because it will show you exactly what it is in the README. So the README actually goes through and says, well, it shows the features, the current features, and then I do have it update the README. I'm going to have to probably split this out into docs and kind of show a smaller README. But as far as the back end, it's using Python, Django, and Postgres as the back end. And then the front end, React and Vite, which I didn't even know about, because I'm not a front end kind of guy. I have heard about Tailwind. So that's what it's using on the front end. You can see drag and drop. It's using some libraries, again, that I don't know about, JavaScript libraries. So anyway, let's get into the application, or get into how Claude Code works. So within Claude Code, I'm using this in Cursor. I've got a terminal down here. I've authenticated with both Anthropic, right? And I've also authenticated to GitLab. So those are two things I've already done. I don't know if let me make this a little bit larger because it might be hard to read. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new GitLab issue. I just typed this out and I thought, you know what, maybe I should record this for posterity and whatnot. But open a new GitLab issue to show the column name when it is collapsed. So again, we're talking about this. Right now it's a blue dot. I don't like that, right? And so it only shows a dot right now. After opening the issue, create a feature branch, fix it, and open up a merge request that closes the issue. And that's it, all right? Now it's going to ask me, it's going to prompt me, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Do you want to do this? I'm like, yeah. So here's the first one. So I'm going to create a GitLab issue. Do you want to do that? Yes. All right, so I'm going to go and flip on over to GitLab. And if I go to issues, there is going to be a brand new issue that it created. Show column name when collapsed. When the column is collapsed, only a color dot, and it looks like I'm in the UK. The column name is not visible, making it hard to identify which columns are at a glance. Thank you for intuiting what I was trying to say, right? Thank you, Claude. You're much smarter than I am already, which is great. All right, do you want to proceed? Yes. So what I'm going to do is it's going to check out the main branch. It's going to then fetch to ensure that I'm up to date on what the main branch is, because you could see down here, actually just already flipped over, that there is the main branch, or I was in a feature branch, flip back over to main, fetched or basically synchronized what was up in the repo. And then it peeled off a new feature branch called collapse column name. All right, do I want to do this? Yes, I'm going to say, Sonnet, yes, you can take credit for this. I believe you deserve it. And guess what? That's it. It just made its changes. Let's go back over and take it. Well, actually, it's still doing its thing. So it's pushing up the feature branch. So let's take a look at that here real quick. And if we go to that feature branch, feature collapsible columns, and let's look at history on that. And you can see that what it changed was the following, right? So these are all the changes that it made within that. So it took out that, added that, took out this, added that. So let's take a look at what this looks like now. So if I collapse this, backlog, look at this, to do, doing, and done. So now I have a much easier on the eyes way of looking at things. I can also see there's one card in doing right now. Maybe I could add another feature request, or an issue, I should say, to say, have the card number in one color and have the issue and the weight in another. To me, that doesn't really matter at this point. All right, so let me go and flip back over to. GitLab, and what we'll see here is, let's look at merge request. And actually, there's nothing open right now. So maybe, do you want to create the merge request? Yes. Okay. Oops. Yes. And it's going to create the merge request. So it's using the GitLab CLI for that. And then if I just refresh here, I should see a new issue. Oh, sorry, new merge request. And there it is. And then it says, hey, if you want to test this is what I suggest you do. Collapse a column. Is it visible? Yes. Color dot. Yep, that's still there. Long column names are truncated. Okay, I didn't even try that, but that's an interesting point. And clicking anywhere in the bar still collapses the column. So let me just take a look at that real quick. If I click there, right, it's going to collapse it. So there we go. It just updated, right? So let me go ahead and flip back over to Claude. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to flip over to GitLab and just merge the request in here. So I'm going to merge that, and then at that point, it's going to go ahead and delete the branch, and voila, we just closed off an issue. So if I go over to issues, guess what? That issue is now closed. So I'll go back to close. There's issue number 8. Done. It just, again, blows my mind that I know a little bit of Python. That helps. I know GitLab because I used to work there, so that helps. But I've been using Claude enough to understand Claude, yeah. But at the same time, you can see that it even intuited information that I wasn't even like giving it, right? So it's really phenomenal what you can do with this today. And again, I haven't even got into connecting into MCP servers and all that stuff. So I have a lot of learning to do, but it's very inspiring. And again, my mind is blown. So I wanted to share this because I think it's useful to understand what's happening now. And yeah, I'll probably just make this private for now. But anyway, let me go and stop the recording. I'll get this up on YouTube now, and I'm out.